Uh, got some notes, some stuff I wanted to share with y'all this morning. My name's Craig Carter. I'm one of the lay pastors. My story is I came 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Before I started coming, I was living in town, just divorced, and kind of doing my own thing, getting settled in. Was doing fine. Jimmy had been asking me for years to come out to the church. It's like, man, and I hadn't been to a church in a long time, in a regular basis in years. So I finally started going out there, and it was good. It was good. And then Jimmy said, hey, man, if you're going to come out here all the time, you might as well join the cook team. It's like, all right, well, shoot, who don't like biscuits and gravy? I mean, all you can eat. So, all right, that was good. That was good. I mean, it's like, I was there, man. I'll do whatever. All right. Went on a little bit, and about 2 years ago, Jeff asked me to be one of the lay pastors. It's like, all right, man, whatever you think, all right. All right, and I was fine. I mean, that was great. It's been great worshiping with the lay pastors and some great guys to deal with and worship with. I mean, to kind of get my head on straight. In the meantime, I got married somewhere along there. And, so we're getting, we're good. We're good. Late last year or in the middle of last summer, Carol's niece, my niece, asked me to marry her and her fiance. They've been dating for several years. They're like, wow, Jeff, what do I do? It's like, so talked to Jeff, and then we got with the elders and became ordained so I could legally marry them, and that was great. I mean, it was pretty. I was pretty nervous about doing that, but I mean, I think it went okay. Nobody threw tomatoes at me. The lady was going to throw tomatoes at me, stick her tongue at me this morning. Anyway, so that was good. So here I am. Jeff said, yeah, Jeff told me a while back, said, boy, if you're ordained, you might as well preach. Get up there. So I do have a quick little story for you. It's just cute. It's a deer camp story. It's clean. It's clean, though. All right, and I have changed the names to keep everybody anonymous. So these three guys, way in South Texas, they got this deer lease way out west, way somewhere far out west. And so these three guys, they were getting plans together, getting everything, and they said, hey, well, these three guys by the name Jefferson, Jeremiah, and Steven, that's their names. We'll just keep them. And you don't know who I'm talking about, right? All right, so Steven says, hey, guys, we got a good plan. Let's take somebody to cook for us. All right? Who do you want to take? Let's take James. James, all right, he's a great cook, but I hear he has a snoring problem. He snores pretty bad. Oh, that's all right. Well, I'll tell you what. We got 2 bunkhouses. We'll just take turns bunking with him. All right, no big deal. So they get their weekend, they go out there, get set up. The first night, Jefferson says, I'll take the first night and get it over with. All right, so that's good. So they turn in that night. Next morning, the breakfast table, Jeremiah and Stephen are sitting there, and Jefferson walks out. His eyes are bloodshot. His hair is all over. They say he used to have hair. And they're like, man, what happened? What happened? Man, James was snoring all night, just horrible. I couldn't sleep. I just sat up all night and watched him. Couldn't sleep. All right. So the next night, Jeremiah, I'll take the next night. All right. So they turn in. Same thing next morning. Jefferson and Stephen are sitting at the table. Here comes Jeremiah, rolls out. He's like, oh, coffee. Give me some coffee. What happened? Well, James was snoring last night. He was rattling the windows. I mean, I thought he was going to, I was kind of afraid I thought he was going to die. He was snoring so bad. So I just sat up and watched him all night. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. All right. So the next night, they're going hunting during the day. The next night, Stephen, it's his turn. They turn in. And then the next morning, Jefferson and Jeremiah are sitting at the table. Stephen walks out, dressed up. His hair's done. He's got his hunting clothes on. Let's go kill something, boys. Let's go. Come on. They're like, dude, what did you do? What did you do? How did you, what? They're like, me and James went and turned in last night. James got in his sleeping bag. I walked over, patted him on the butt, kissed him on the forehead, and said, good night. He sat up and watched me all night. Anyway, I could see eyes burning holes in me back there. Anyway, so I'm sorry. That's just a little story. I didn't mean to go that long, but so my story today is we have a road construction. The last several months, TxDOT contractors been rebuilding roads all over, and I work. We have a video picture up here of road construction. You come upon these scenes, and they've got traffic stopped. Yeah, there you go, pilot car. Okay, so I'm coming back one afternoon from, let's say, Lakey here. I come rolling through Tarpley. I got paperwork, stack of papers to process when I get back to the office. Okay, and I'm about the second in line. I stopped over in the right lane, and the pilot car coming, escorting the other cars along. And he turns around, and he's in the left lane. And I think I'm in the second from the front of the light. I'm over in the right lane behind this car. Pilot car's on the left. He takes off. He's going. The car in front of me is going in the right lane. So, I'm kind of wanting to drift over, but the car in front of me is still in the right lane. The pilot car's over in the left lane. And he's going and going. We keep going. And I'm thinking, get over. Follow this guy. The sign says, follow me. What an idiot. I'm kind of pressed for time, but wanted to get back to the office. Like, just go, get over there, follow him. The sign says, follow me. Why can't you follow directions? And then, okay, the next thing, I have a Bill Engvall moment. It says, here's your sign. Okay, so I had this after thinking about this guy in front of me.
Here's your sign.
There you go. Thank you.
Here's your sign.
It was the come to Jesus moment, just for a second, that I realized them talking about this guy in front of me, not following directions, and I got the sign pointed to me because I don't follow directions all the time too, either. So, so who else said to follow me? Jesus did. Jesus extended an invitation to follow to every single kind of person imaginable. Rich people, poor people, people who are spiritual, people who are not spiritual. People, he didn't place a bunch of conditions on his offer. He just invited them to follow him. It's pretty simple. Now, one account of Jesus' invitation to follow him is found in the gospel written by Matthew. Matthew was one of Jesus' followers. In this part of the story, Matthew tells a story about himself. The story introduces us to the profound but simple idea of following Jesus. Here's what Matthew wrote. In Matthew 9:9. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. Make a note of the tax collector's booth. Follow me, he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. It's simple, right? Okay, but in Jesus' time, in that culture, tax collectors were the lowest of the low. They weren't just, somebody, some guy, typical average person that you meet on the street. They were Jewish people collecting Roman taxes from other Jews. They were hated. They were outcasts. They couldn't go to the temple. They were just not a regular part of society. They could only hang out with other tax collectors because even the sinners didn't want to be around them. They were just not liked at all. So how radical or crazy was it of Jesus' call to Matthew? When all the eyes were on the Son of God, he chose to reach out to a tax collector. Was he approving of Matthew's life? Was he saying even indirectly that sin didn't matter? Jesus was extraordinarily comfortable with people who weren't anything like him. Based on what we read in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that's a statement, I'm sorry. Have you ever met someone that was so comfortable in himself that he makes everyone around you comfortable? I mean, just makes you feel at peace, no anxious feelings. When you talk to them, they mean what they say, and they say what they mean. No hidden agenda. But Jesus was like that. And that was a big deal because Jesus was God in a body. He wasn't obligated to make everyone around him feel comfortable, but he certainly did. Jesus was so comfortable in his own skin, he didn't hesitate to hang out with sinners, outcasts, lowlifes, and even tax collectors like Matthew. Most of us avoid people like that because we worry what other people or better people you think of us. If you hang out with a broken and dysfunctional, people may assume you're broken and dysfunctional, right? But that's exactly what the Pharisees wondered about Jesus. And in Matthew 9:11 through 12, when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, they asked Jesus' disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" And in verse 12, when Jesus heard this, he said, "Healthy people don't need a doctor, sick people do. Now go and learn the meaning of this scripture. I want you to show mercy, not offer sacrifices. For I have come to call not those that think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners." I mean, that makes sense, right? If you're not sick, why would you go to a hospital? Another example of Jesus' call to follow is in Mark 4:19. Jesus called out to them, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And another one, John 8:12. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." So, what does it mean to follow? All right, I had to pull up my Funkin' Wagnalls. That's Webster's dictionary for you, the younger ones, I would say, for the word follow to see what it means. And there's a bunch of definitions of the word follow. Right? Here's a few. To come or go after, proceed behind. To move in the direction of or be guided by. To accept the guidance, command, or leadership of. To take as a model or precedent or as an imitate. To act in agreement or compliance with, obey. To engage in or work at. To grasp the meaning or logic of, or behave in agreement with someone's commands, rules, or wishes. And the last one, to choose and follow as in theories, ideas, policies, strategies, and plans of someone. So that last one, it kind of incorporates the Bible, what we should, the plan that we should follow. Now, what I think Jesus meant when he said to follow me, he wants us to know him. I mean, just simply know him. I think about this. I'll go a little bit further on that knowing part. Have you heard the saying, be the change you want to see in the world, or the golden rule, do unto others as you want others to be done to you? I mean, Jesus said that, and it's inspirational stuff and stuff you teach your kids. It's good stuff. I'm not taking anything away from that at all. But there's a but there. I mean, yeah, and that I heard this explanation when I was a kid growing up. My dad was a preacher. That's what he did. So I heard this explanation many, many times over the years. But it took me years to understand it. There will be a lot of good men in hell. Okay. There will be a lot of good men in hell simply because they do not know God. Amen? All right. And you better know him before you meet him. You better know him before you meet him. If you know him, you will trust him. One last little thing. Speaking of trust, I have some dogs. I don't know if we can get the video up there. Yeah, there's dogs. Okay, the Great Pyrenees. We got these about a year ago. We had a bunch of chickens, and we've had issues. The predators, foxes, coons, maybe a few neighbors, I don't know, hawks. Getting the chickens, I'm just kidding about the neighbors. So we kind of adopted these, or we did adopt them from Carol's sister, got them here, and they were around goats and sheep. It took us a little while to get the chicken business fixed out. So the dogs are good. I mean, they're good natured. They're sisters, but they're completely different characteristics. The white one, that's Pearl. She's very stoic, very meek. She's all businesslike. She does. I know in my heart when she's out working, she's working. She's on the clock. She's patrolling. She does her business. She does what she was bred and designed to do. The other one, that's Luna. Short for lunatic, I think. That's kind of. It didn't really turn out that way, but she's spastic, bouncing around, just like a 4-year-old, 100-pound puppy, just a borderline obnoxious. Anyway, it's over the last year, it's been a big learning curve for me to trust this dog. I have had several instances, 4, 5, or 6 instances where we had chickens, and I've noticed chickens in the yard and stuff that I could tell something was wrong with them, walking funny, kind of hovering. And a couple of times, let's say, I've noticed, well, let's say a couple of days later, this dog had that chicken out in the yard or off to the side. I think the dog carried the chicken over there. The chicken wasn't hurt from her. The chicken may have had slobber all over it, but the chicken was not hurt. So this happened a couple of times. The dog, I think, physically removed the chicken from the chicken yard. I think a lot of times if a chicken it's got a injured, let's say a speck of blood on it or something, the other chickens will peck on it. This is kind of what I think. I'm not 100% sure that the dog may have removed the dog's never hurt any chickens that I know of. Anyway, so keep that story short. It's taken me a long time to trust this dog, but I really do think she's looking out for the best interest. So the point of my story is, now having said that, she's back in lockup right now because of recent escape attempt Friday night. So anyway, I'm trying not to take away from the story, but she's locked up. They ran off. She ran off, and the other one went with her. But anyway, they're back. We got them. So anyway, back to my story about trust. It's taken me a long time to really trust God. I mean, honestly, now I always knew as a kid, and I was baptized when I was 8 or 9 years old. So I've always known that I've got to follow Christ. But it's taken me, I'd say, probably 30 years to accept, understand, and embrace what it means to follow Him. I'm not trying my best. I try to live as a Christian, try to live with a spiritual light. I hope that the message hasn't really gone sideways or anything this morning. And I will close it up for a couple of minutes. If we can get the lay pastors to come up, head up this way. I will say this on following Christ. If you follow Him, you will know Him. If you know Him, you will trust Him. You should trust Him. That's my message today. Following the sign that God put in front of me. That simple little road construction sign. It's just here's your sign. If anyone the lay pastors up here this morning, if anybody would like to come up, if you want to talk with someone, if you want to have a prayer request, you're welcome to that. They'll be up here for a few minutes. And if everyone would join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you.